Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Primetime Carolina. I'm your host, Tanner Blue, aka Santa Claus, aka my co-host Dave LaFave. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up, Big Saint Nick?
Hey man, you know what? You know who's getting a bag of coal for Christmas?
Matt Rhule.
Matt Rhule. And as the people on the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast, shout out to them. I've been listening to them a little bit lately. They call him Matt Fool, Matt Drool, kind of different nicknames. I like it because, man, this thing has gone from bad to worse to almost unwatchable in the matter of just a couple weeks. The Panthers go down yet again, 29-21 to the division rival Atlanta Falcons, who are playing a wide receiver at running back, and we still lose. Man, I only watched the second half of this game. The first half I had to do some stuff during the day, but just I feel like I didn't miss much. The Panthers are the Panthers, committing penalties, playing bad defense, and just not really blocking anybody or doing anything good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same old story. We've talked about it a million times with this team, man. It feels like nothing's changed in like 8 weeks, whether we won or not. But it's just a comedy of errors from start to finish. And I think Matt Rhule at this point is just throwing anybody and everybody he can under the bus to try to take the attention off of himself.
I mean, we could come on here and do another show and break it down about how we didn't do this and didn't do that. But I mean, it's insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, the Panthers do the same thing over and over and over again, and they get the same result. It's the same thing we're talking about, not being able to stop the run, can't get off third downs consistently, can't block anybody, receivers not getting open, just bad coaching, just getting out-coached, dumb penalties all the time. It's the same song and dance every game. You can go through any of our podcasts for the past month, except for the Cardinals game, and you're going to see the same thing.
Yeah, I saw something earlier this week that said the Panthers were the top team in the league when it came to first quarter point differential. So after the first quarter, we go from the best point differential team to I don't know where we fall after that, but we start at the top, but we've lost, however many games we've lost, 7 out of 8 or whatever it is. And so that tells me that there just aren't adjustments being made at this point or at any point this season. And once teams have our game plan figured out, we're in trouble because we can't do anything to switch it up and play chess with them once they make a move.
Yeah, it's the same song and dance. I mean, I will give credit to Jeff Nixon, I believe is his name. He was the interim offensive coordinator. I don't think the offense was the main problem in this game. Were they great? No, but they weren't, the worst. It's kind of hard for him to change up the playbook because at this point of the year, the guys kind of know what they know with the playbook. There's not really much you can do different. But I think he did a fine job. The offense didn't look any worse than usual, so I'll give him credit for that. Cam, I wasn't watching live, but I did see the replay of the interception that he threw. A lot of people are saying it was a bad read. A lot of people saying it was just a great play by the linebacker. Either or, interception there, and then he got tripped up by one of the offensive linemen. Not really. I'm not trying to not blame Cam Newton for anything, but not really his or the center's fault. Just something that happened, and then he tried to make a play, ended up fumbling the football instead of taking the sack, and that was pretty much it from Cam. Receivers, they did okay, but once again, man, me and you have been harping on it all year, and a lot of people haven't. They've been bypassing it, but this defense, man, it's like when you're watching like Scooby-Doo and then at the end they take off like the person's mask, like that meme, and then you thought the Panthers had a top 5 defense. but they take off the mask, we're like a bottom 10 defense. And it's just, man, it's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating.
Yeah, dude. I mean, even after those first 3 games, this defense has been pretty suspect, and we talked about a lot. Like, they were putting up good numbers, but they weren't coming up in big situations. And since then, I mean, honestly, they've just gotten worse and worse. And I don't understand, how a team this talented, especially on defense, can be as bad as they've been. Excuse me. And we saw it again in this game, Tanner. The very end of the game, the Panthers had a chance to get the ball back and have a chance to go tie it up. And I think it was 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13-ish situation. And the Panthers, on a misdirection play, let Kyle Pitts run wide open. How do
Was
you let Kyle Pitts run wide open when you're playing the Falcons in that situation? That should be the guy everybody has their eyes on in that situation. It's just unbelievable
was
how
that
they can just keep doing ridiculous things like this.
was you can correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the play where Jermaine Carter and someone else like ran into each other and fell down? He was wide open for the first down.
Yeah, I don't remember
Okay.
exactly if they did, but probably because it was kind of a play action play that ran back across the field, and he just ran
Yeah.
wide open on a shallow cross, and he got it and ran for the first down.
Yeah, I think that was the play. I could be wrong, but I think that was it. But man, there is you know, there is nothing more prime for offense than getting the Panthers defense in 3rd and long, because
I'm telling
you
you.
can call any play you want. It can be 2 yards after the line of scrimmage, little dump off. You are picking up that first down, or you're going to get close to it, because they are selling out. They are getting back there, and they are going to give up 20 yards on 3rd down.
Yeah,
What
man.
I want to ask you, I want to ask you a question. I am not in any way a defensive guru, an NFL coach, a scout, anything. I'm just a guy who loves the Panthers, just watches them on Sunday. That's it. My opinion doesn't mean anything. But on 3rd and long, and this is an NFL-wide question, why do defensive coordinators feel the need to take off less pressure and to just put guys back there? In my opinion, I would much rather run the same defense that I've been running successfully and just man up my guys, or play like a little bit of zone, instead of playing this soft zone where they're 15, 20 yards back and just giving up the chunk plays. Just do what got you there. And if you fail, then you fail. But you're not giving up you see what I'm saying? I just don't understand that logic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the simple answer is just hoping that the quarterback dumps it off quick and you can go make a tackle and get off the field. But never seems to work
I
that way for
just
the Panthers, does it?
it, no, it doesn't. And I watch a lot of other games too, and I see the same thing. I don't get why coordinators aren't more aggressive on situations like that. I guess there's something that I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to do what got me there and send my guys out on a blitz, or, send 4 guys on the line, and then just, hey, if you're going to beat me, go ahead and try to do it. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree with you. And I think, if you look back, what was it, last Thursday night with the Steelers and the Vikings, the Steelers
Yeah.
were down 29-0. And because of that, playing that kind of soft defense, the Steelers were able to come all the way back, and they almost tied up the game. And we saw it, many, many times when Ron Rivera was our coach. We'd get a big lead, and then we'd just try to sit on it, and teams would always come back against us. So, yeah, for
It's
that
like,
reason, I agree with you. I think you keep playing defense till the game's over, and if
I
you
mean,
get beat over the top, you get beat over the top.
eventually giving up enough chunk plays, they're going to make it in scoring distance, either be a field goal or a touchdown. They haven't been able to stop what you've been doing. Why not just keep doing that? And so I've never understood that. Like on our Super Bowl run in 2015, whenever we played Seattle, we were up like 30 something to 0 at half. The fact that game was even that close in the end was absolutely disgusting to me, just
Yeah.
because we played off ball like the rest of the second half. It was ridiculous.
And we
But
tried to run out the clock on offense. Actually, that was the game where Cam got caught on the mic, like freaking out, because he was getting
yeah,
so frustrated with the play calling, because it was just, a draw and dive plays on every play, just trying to run the clock out.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I'm getting off on a tangent. Um, the main thing I want to talk about in this, I really don't even care about the game, man. It is what it is. The Panthers lose. Falcons aren't really, I'm not trying to be a homer. Falcons aren't that great. Panthers are just that bad. And then I think it's really funny. I keep seeing from the past couple weeks when teams beat us, ever since Cam did the whole "I'm back" line, players from opposing teams that have played for us have done it. So Joey Slye did "I'm
Yeah.
back," the field goal, and then Mike Davis did it. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's
whatever.
they're not
Not
really players of like great stature that
yeah.
are gonna the level that Cam Newton has been. That's gonna make me upset. I don't know. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, not too many people are worried about Joey Slye. So no offense to Joey Slye, but whatever. Mike Davis, not too
Did
many
he get
people.
hurt or something? Because I was watching the Washington game and he was not kicking. Did he get hurt or?
I don't know. I can't keep track of what team he's on anymore. He's on a new team like every other week.
But overall, man, this it's not good. And we've talked about this the past couple weeks, and you keep saying Matt Rhule third year is coming. I'm going to ask you again: is a third year of Matt Rhule coming? Do you still have the same mindset on that?
I mean, I hope not, but I don't know. I'm not completely convinced. I feel like if we lose out, which we most likely will with what we have on the schedule, after dropping games to the Giants and the Falcons, and what would that put us at if we lost out 5-11? If we've or 5
5
and
and 12.
12, we finished the season 5 and 12. I mean, it's hard to look at that and think he'll be back, but I'm not gonna like allow that to creep into my mind until it's happening, I guess, because until then I'm stuck with him, so I just gotta grind it out. But man, I'll tell you what, I'm getting sick of that, man. I really am. And it just feels like he just doesn't know what he's doing. And it feels and so back up to before the game, like the last 2 weeks, really, he's just insisted on not putting Brady Christensen at left tackle, even though every person in the world can look at it and tell him like that's what you need to do. Like it makes no freaking sense what he's doing. And he's just like putting guards at left tackle, just letting his quarterbacks get killed. And then I guess it was today in the press conference, he wants to talk about Cam's turnovers, his 2 turnovers, but when Sam Darnold was turning over the ball 4 times, he was standing there defending him. But when it's the quarterback you just signed 4 weeks ago and was not around for training camp and is just getting used to the team, comes in and two turnovers. One of them was because one of your dumbass offensive linemen stepped on him that you refused to take off the field. That offensive line that you assembled that's been horrific all year. This man is not holding himself accountable for anything. It's always somebody else's fault. He needs to go back to college where he can be the only grown man in the locker room because he is in way over his head, dude.
Damn, you just roasted that man into a billion pieces.
Bro, I can't stand that man, dude. I cannot.
No, that you bring up a good point. Let's talk about the Brady Christensen thing. There is just this weird obsession about this arm length thing, and to me, the season's over. Okay, the playoffs are not happening. The season is over. At this point in the season, you need to. I get it, he's trying to potentially save his job and wants to put who he thinks is in the best position to play. But if you haven't watched the other games that we've played this year, all of them, you can see we don't have an answer at left tackle. So what you've been doing is not working. That's not going to save your job. Let's take a guy that you drafted and put him at this position where in the game that he played okay and played pretty solid. just give the guy a chance. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Who's the other options that you're going to play? Dennis Daly, Cam Irving? I mean, come on. It just makes no sense. It's a sad excuse for whatever his idea, his plan is. I don't get it. This
For
is
me,
his draft class, people that he drafted, and he's kind of giving them one of his picks the short end of the stick.
it just feels like an ego thing to me. Like it feels like he decided like I'm not going to give him that opportunity. I think he's a guard. That's where I'm going to play him. And so I'm just going to keep putting these bums at left tackle who literally can't block anybody. The amount of plays I've seen this year where Cam Irving just didn't block anybody is absurd. And you're talking about, bro, from here to here, that's how too short his arm is. That's the extra inch he needs. Like, what are you talking about? And somebody posted on Twitter, I think it was Panay Sewell. He either had the same arm length or it was like a quarter-inch difference or something. Like, it's the most ridiculous conversation we could possibly be having about a player. But yet here we are having it because this coach is a freaking moron and just insists on doing dumb things over and over and over again. And it goes back to what we've seen all season with this guy. I don't understand, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's a mystery. It is a mystery. It's kind of reminds me of the Rivera days when he would play the vets over the rookies that had promising young talent just because that was his opinion and that's what he wanted to do. And I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I think at this point, what do you have to lose? I mean, if you lose your job, I mean, you're still going to get paid that that contract that you got signed to. So money is not an issue, but I don't know, man. I just think it's weird. It's one of those weird things where I feel like
Man,
every team has that one player situation that fans could never figure out because it just something is not there.
it's so weird. It's so weird. But the biggest thing, like more than any of that, it's just like how disengaged this team feels. Like nobody cares.
Correct.
Nobody cares. I mean, the energy in the stadium was almost completely gone on Sunday by the end of the game. And it was like the players didn't care, which made the fans not care. The fans are so sick of the disaster they've been watching every week. And I don't know, man. I feel like at some point David Tepper has to acknowledge that and do something about it. But until I see a news headline that says he's gone, I'm not gonna, get myself in that state of mind. But I don't see how you can keep this guy around.
Yeah, I mean, I it's getting very very hard to do so. And I'm looking for something that I saw on the Carolina Huddle. I'm trying to find it. It's actually about Derek Brown. I don't know if you had heard about that. His one of his Instagram story posts, and I don't really like to get into um, social media things. I'm trying to find it real quick. Uh, I think I saw that he had posted somewhere that after the game, like he had said something. Oh, here it is right here. Let me find it here. He put a tweet that someone had posted on Twitter, and he posted it to his Instagram story. If this thing will load, come on.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, he said some guy posted. He said pro athletes should go to regular people's jobs and boo the f out of them, like boo you bagging groceries slow as hell, you effing bum. I mean, listen. I am not an NFL player. I am not anything special. But in my job, if I don't do well, people get upset or they get mad. I think that's any job. So, I mean, if you're not doing your job well, people are going to boo you at a game.
Yeah.
I don't understand the logic behind that.
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not giving up on Derek Brown yet, but I understand why people are upset. He played a good game on Sunday. And I think
I'm
that's
not
the kind of
either.
thing with him is he's never been the most consistent. He, you know, sometimes he's amazing, sometimes it's like he's not on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not giving up on him either. And not at all. And obviously what I was saying there, I thought the comment was just kind of funny. But as a player, I still have a great deal of faith in him. I think people are giving up way too quickly. I'm telling you, man, I've said this from day one, and I'm going to continue to say it until the season's over. This team has enough talent to be, aside from quarterback and offensive line, this team has enough talent to be a competitor. It's all about coaching. This is all about coaching. You can break down every single roster on every team, and you can point out major or somewhat major weaknesses on every single roster. But good coaching can cover up a lot of that. And the Panthers, so what? They don't have the biggest and strongest defensive ends to stop the run. They don't have the greatest linebackers. They don't have the best offensive line. Some of those things matter, but a good coach and good scheme can help a lot of those things. And I'm telling you, these guys are being put in the wrong position. This is not a matter of having players that aren't good enough in areas. This is a matter of putting those players in the right position to succeed. And I'm going to say that until the season's over, until we get a new coach. Put a better coach on this football team and a better staff with the same players, you're getting a huge difference.
I mean, I agree. When the team in the beginning of the year, when the team felt like a team, it was a totally different thing. But man, it's just falling apart, and it's so mind-boggling what this defense has turned into because this is the same defense that in week 2 held Alvin Kamara to 6 yards, and
Yeah.
now it's like they can't stop anybody from doing anything, and it's unbelievable, honestly.
Yeah. It's I mean, I get that over time teams get film and they make adjustments, but that means that we can make adjustments too to what they've adjusted. And we're not doing that. And it's frustrating to see, because I see a lot of guys on this team that have been called out a lot this year that I think are good football players. I'm still a big Brian Burns fan. I think people have been giving him the shit for a lot of stuff. Some of it's warranted. I'm still a Derek Brown fan. I still think Derek Brown can be a good player. People are even getting on Hassan Reddick. So Hassan Reddick's a sack leader on this team. Without him, we have no pass rush. He's a good player. People getting on Shaq recently. He hasn't played the best, but he's been our best linebacker by far. He's a good player. I mean, we've got guys. So it's all coaching, man. It's all coaching. It's all fit and it's all scheme. We've got the guys, and I'm gonna say that until the end of time, until somebody proves me wrong.
I'll say this: I'm starting to think DJ Moore might not be the guy we thought he was, and he might be the guy we used to think he was. Which, well, I'll say for me because I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I always thought he was better off as a very, very good number 2 receiver and not necessarily a number 1 receiver. And I always felt like it came down to route running on the outside and not having the ability to create great separation. I thought he was always a guy who was better inside in like a slot role,
Mm-hmm.
um, in a way that scheming could get him open because he's not great at creating separation on his own. And I think this year we've kind of fallen back into having him on the outside and expecting him to create separation on his own. And it hasn't always happened. And I think that's led to some of our struggles on offense. And honestly, the same with Robbie Anderson. I think both of those guys have been given more on their plate than they can handle. And obviously, like I said, I think DJ Moore is a great receiver. I just think he's best off as a really good number 2 receiver, the same way Muhsin Muhammad was with Steve Smith. He was a great receiver, but he wasn't the first option.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, and I'm a huge fan of DJ Moore. And people have been saying that his contract's coming up soon, like we shouldn't re-sign him. I think that's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, I wouldn't absolutely overpay for the guy, but, you know, he's a very, very, very good number two receiver. He can be a fringe one at times. To me, he just lacks kind of some of the things that you said. But to me, he's still a damn good football player. And you got to think about this. His whole career, he's never had consistent quarterback play ever. He got Cam Newton at the tail end of his run in his first run. Then he had Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, and then he's got Cam Newton again, who is not what he was, also behind a terrible offensive line. So he's never had consistent quarterback play ever, or consistent O-line play to have time to get him the ball. I think he's a very, very good number two receiver, and I like DJ a lot. Same thing with Robbie Anderson. I think Robbie's a lot better than what he has displayed this year. It's just, whatever they're doing on offense, the route running, the scheming, just isn't putting these guys to the best of their ability. And it's weird because at the beginning of the season, the first 4 games, DJ Moore was going off. I mean, I thought he was going to have a career year. But something that frustrates me is that, I know in the preseason you see a lot of stuff that doesn't come to light in the regular season. There hasn't been a lot of Terrace Marshall Jr. since the first couple weeks of the year. Unless I'm blind and I could be wrong, I have not seen hardly any Shi Smith at all.
Yeah.
Where's he been? Why has he not been given a chance to at least – these guys are already dropping passes left and right. Why not give the kid a chance?
Oh, no. Right now, Zylstra is probably the best receiver on the team. Well,
I mean, it's tough.
Hyperbole, but I don't know.
I don't know.
DJ Moore is a good player, but I think losing Curtis Samuel was bigger than people realize because that was another big play guy we had who could grab some attention from the defense. And I said it for, however many years those two were playing together, that I felt like the team was using them backwards. I felt like DJ Moore was the better slot receiver and Curtis Samuel was the better outside receiver. But they insisted on using them, the opposite way, especially, I guess, last year once Robbie Anderson came into the mix. And I think, I agree with you, Robbie Anderson. I still think he's a great player. I still, want him on my team, but his role needs to be decreased. And we probably don't have anybody to fill those roles. So, I mean, I understand it, but I understand that those two have to be our outside receivers because we don't really have anybody else. But at the same time, I think, Robbie's more of a situational player, set up some deep ball opportunities and get it to him. Or, some crossing route so he can use his speed or whatever. And then I think, DJ Moore is the better number 2 receiver, and we don't really have that big time number 1 receiver. And I think that's, been a lot of DJ's struggles is the team relies on him to be that number 1 receiver, and he's just really not. And if you look even back in this pass game, I want to say it was, the end of the first quarter or whatever, we had like a 3rd and 3. Cam throws him the ball on a quick slant, and it wasn't the most accurate ball, but it was one he should have caught. But it didn't matter because he had no separation at all. And, if you can't consistently get separation, how's a quarterback supposed to consistently get you the ball, especially in those type of situations when it's just man on man? And so, you need to come out on top. Your team needs you to come out on top to convert that first down.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sometimes I wish he had a little bit more of that. I'm never going to question a player's toughness because it's a tough thing to play this sport. Just sometimes I wish he would be, at least on the field, or appear just a little bit more aggressive about stuff sometimes. But I could be wrong. But I feel like sometimes he might be missing that extra little, that piece to get him over the top. But yeah, I think, it's tough. I think receiver is, although you can always improve there, we've got a lot of other areas to improve in first. I know talking draft, we haven't got there yet. We don't know where we're going to be picking, but, there's a lot that could happen. We're not sure what's going to happen at the quarterback position. We're not sure who's going to be available. We're not sure who's going to come back. We're not sure where we're going to be picking. So a lot of that has to be seen. but just it's just been frustrating. It's really been frustrating the past 4 or 5 years being a fan ever since the Super Bowl run, just because of the way things have ended, starting out hot and just finishing absolutely terrible. It's one thing just to be bad and just not be a good team. I can accept that if I know we're going to suck. But when we've got talent like this and players like this, just to see the underperformance, it just really, really drags it out of you. It's tough to watch.
Yeah. It's literally and figuratively been the longest season ever because, dog,
Yes.
3-0 feels like years ago,
Yeah.
and
It really does.
2015 feels like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it does. And it's in my opinion, I don't see the Panthers winning another game this year. I really don't. I don't think they're going to win in Buffalo. I don't see them beating Tampa. I don't even see them beating Tampa's second stringers if it comes down to that. I don't see them beating New Orleans at home. I just don't see it. All the teams they're playing are in playoff contention. I mean, the Saints barely, but they're still hanging on. I don't see this team winning another game. And to me, they don't win another game. It's almost impossible to justify to the fans that go to this game that pay $12, $15 for a Coke, for a beer, for a hot dog, that Matt Rhule is the guy to come in and fix this team and stick with it. I don't know, man. That's a tough thing to convince people.
Yeah, man, it's been a rough ride, and that's the problem here. Going back to the coaching and Matt Rule is it just doesn't feel like there's any sense of direction. Doesn't feel like this team's moving in any direction. Doesn't feel like they're getting better. It doesn't feel like the players are believing in the brand. Um, if anything, it feels like everyone's lost trust in Matt Rule. The
Yeah,
team
I
feels
mean
disinterested.
it's frustrating because last year we weren't expected to be good, and I mean we weren't very good, but we were okay and we were competitive in a lot of games. That made it fun. That made it, we're not winning, but we're close. We're competing with these teams. This year, when we had the hot start, we thought that we were a little bit ahead of ourselves. And then just some of the games, just the epic meltdowns and beatdowns and just the way that we competed, just that's not competitive football. That's not a team that's getting better. That's a team that's getting worse. And hindsight is 2020. You can say what you want, but looking at it now, man, if we could have just no one. I mean, we didn't even have to keep Teddy Bridgewater, but we could have. We could have just saved some cap room. We could have just, hey, this is the situation we're at. The Panthers had a plan at the beginning of this. They were going to suck for about 2-3 years. They were going to build this team properly and then make that final run for that quarterback and make things good. And they were on the right track last year. They jumped the gun this year. All the things they did, all the picks they wasted, all the cap space they wasted, they jumped the ship and it didn't work. If we were looking at if this previous season that we just are having or had, if we would have kept, Teddy or a low end quarterback, not a lot of money, and just didn't trade away picks, kept building this team, this upcoming draft, we could be looking at potentially adding a quarterback or one final piece, and the Panthers would be a pretty good put together team. Now we jumped the shark and we're not there yet.
Yeah. And that feels pretty tough, but I guess if there is a bright side to it, we can still jump back on that path, being that if we had been where we expected to be this year, we would probably been in the 15, 16, to 20 range in the draft. Because this season has been such a disaster, we're going to be picking more like 7 or lower, 7 or 8 probably. So if we take that pick and trade back to that 20 range where we thought we might be anyway and acquire some more picks that we had traded away because we jumped the gun, we might be able to put ourselves in a similar position to where we would have been and put ourselves back on track for the rebuild that we had in mind, even though we blew a ton of draft capital this year trying to jump the gun, as you said, on our rebuild. So, I think of it that way at this point. But, still, I'd love to see somebody besides Matt Rhule take it over.
Listen, I don't disagree with you at all. I think you're 100% correct. I think that the way they can wrong this or right this wrong is, things aren't working out with this guy. Let's give him the boot. Let's get someone in here that can do things properly or at least do better. Um, I don't know how the draft's going to shake out. I don't know where we're going to finish. From what I understand this offseason, from what I understand about this draft class, it's very heavy on offensive linemen. That's perfect because I would take 7 offensive linemen in this draft if I had 7 picks, I swear. So I don't know where we're going to finish. I don't know what their thoughts are on quarterback, but as of now, if I had to make a prediction, whatever we end up finish, trade back, get some picks, and let's draft some linemen, and let's get this show back on the road to where we should be with proper staff, proper coach, and a proper offensive line. Then we can talk about quarterback and we can figure something out. I'm all in favor of trading back and acquiring those picks back and just filling in those positions of offensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we go heavy offensive line, maybe pick up some linebackers if they're there, in the 3rd, 4th, or later rounds. But definitely offensive line early. And then when it comes to quarterback, I mean, this isn't a great quarterback draft class. Kenny Pickett's grown on me a little bit. I've always liked Malik Willis. I like Ritter from Cincinnati, but none of those guys really make me feel like we need to go get them. They have potential, but I don't know. I feel like waiting until next year is probably a better option as far as quarterback goes. And that being said, that brings us to, should we bring Cam back for another year or should we roll with Sam Darnold again? And honestly, I'm not really trying to watch Sam Darnold again. And, I know I've always been a huge Cam Newton fan, and I've always been, a huge supporter and defended Cam. But even when I put that aside, I just feel like logically that makes the most sense for the Panthers right now, is just to let him play one more year behind a rebuilt offensive line.
I mean, I like I said, I agree with you 100%. I'm all about building this offensive line in the draft, and I like you said, putting everything aside, depending on who's available. If we think about it, Cam Newton when he's played, he has not been, terrible. He's shown some bright spots. He's played bad, but he hasn't played like god awful terrible. But we're not expecting, and anyone that's expecting him to be what he used to be is wrong. I don't think either of us expected that, and that's why I'm okay with the way he's performing now. So I'm totally okay with. I can't go with Sam Darnold next year. If they decide this is the year for quarterback, and that's fine with me, I'm cool with that. But they can't rely on this unless they just want to tank and suck, then play them. But if you want to have a competitive team and at least try, I'm on board right now with bringing Cam back for another year just to see what he can do behind a revamped line. And if it doesn't work, like we said a couple years ago when they started this rebuild, if it doesn't work, fine, move on.
Yeah. But at this point, your hands are pretty much tied. I mean, you kind of have to go. I mean, but honestly, the way Matt Rhule's been, and like I said, the way he's been throwing Cam under the bus these last few weeks, when Cam just got here, the house was already burning, the ship was already sinking when he got here, and now Matt Rhule's already trying to throw him under the bus. I would be shocked to see Matt Rhule bring him back, assuming he has say in it with Sam Darnold on the roster. But and I think that Miami game was really an outlier for Cam, because I feel like what Miami did just exploited our weaknesses so much that there was really nothing he could do anyway. And then I think the Atlanta game, this game, I think it was a lot uglier on paper than it actually was for Cam, with the 2 turnovers, which, like you said, one was a great defensive play and one was an offensive lineman stepping on him. But if you take a step back and look at, the number of touchdowns to turnovers since he's been here, it's like 8-4 or something. So it's not like he's had these abysmal numbers since he's taken over as our quarterback. It's just we're such a bad damn team that, everybody's looks bad all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I saw someone throw out a stat at me the other day. Cam Newton's last 11 starts as a Panther, he's like 0-11.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, correct. If you analyze all of those games at the very end of 2019, whenever we were 6-2, and then the shoulder thing happened, he was
Mhm.
clearly hurt. So he was
Clearly.
not the same.
Clearly hurt.
The first two games of the next year, his foot was hurt.
Mhm.
Our offensive line still sucked, so he left. He came back. Offensive line sucks. He's just getting acclimated to a new system. I'm not like sitting here trying to defend the guy over and over
Yeah.
and over again, but it's like every time he gets put in a position where he's just not really put in a spot to succeed or have a chance. And people want to come on the guy and just like, I told you he sucks. I'm like, no one expected him to be 2015 Cam Newton. No one expected that.
Yeah. Well, people talk about, yeah, he's had a rough ride with the Panthers for a while. And, that's true, but it's all the stuff you just said. It's been a really bad situation, one after the other, not to make excuses, but it is what it is. I mean, you have to look at it you have to look at it objectively for a minute and, accept the fact that he's been put in some rough spots. But with the Patriots last year, he was, 7-8, and that team was horrible. I don't care what they are now. I watched that team several times last year, and they were horrible. They had all
Yeah.
those COVID opt-outs on defense. They had nobody on offense. They were just a bad team, and he squeezed 7 wins out of that roster. There is no way that team should have won 7 games last year. They are not the same team that they are this year. They're not even close.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I watched my girlfriend, her family's a diehard Patriots fans. So I was excited to see Cam play last year, even though it was for New England. So I watched a lot of games. And he had nobody. And like you said, a lot of guys on the COVID list, a lot of people were hurt. He didn't have any weapons. And it was kind of just a 1-year deal, or I didn't really see him staying there long term anyway. It just kind of was what it was. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but the fact that people keep coming, I told you Cam Newton sucked. He's not what he used to be. I'm like, okay, I never said he was going to be MVP Cam Newton. And I think if you think that, you're an idiot.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we can give him another year. But I don't know. Honestly, there's a part of me who's just like ready to move on just because I'm sick of people like who you're talking about saying stupid stuff to me who never look at anything other than the fact that they hate them as the only information that goes into their decision to speak. There was a guy at the game sitting like 3 seats down from me on Sunday. And I swear to God, the only reason he was there was to talk about how much he
Were
hates
you
Cam
at the
Newton.
game on Sunday?
Yeah, I was at the game on Sunday.
Oh my God, dude, I had no idea. My dad, and my little brother went,
Oh, there he
but
is.
yeah, I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I was there. There's a guy sitting like 3 seats down
I'm
from me.
sorry.
Huh?
I said I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I don't think I told you. Dude, you didn't even check my snap, bro. I put on my snap.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. I had no idea you were there. I had no idea.
No worries. But yeah, this guy was like, the only reason he was at the damn game was to talk about how much he hates Cam Newton. And it took until the end of the first quarter when Cam threw his first incompletion. The guy just leans over to me. So I need to ask you, what do you guys think about Cam Newton? Because I don't get it. I don't like this guy. Oh, my God. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I'm not the guy you want to talk to, dude. I love Cam Newton. And then, of course, some old-ass fat white guy behind him's like, I'm the guy you need to ask because I can't stand him. And then they just turn around and start, like, blowing each other about how much they hate Cam Newton.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I think I mean, did they not watch Sam Darnold play? Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you.
He's not
That's the
been
thing,
as
is like,
bad as those guys.
they'll sit there and, like, complain about Cam for, like, 3 quarters, and then P.J. Walker gets in the game and throws an interception.
And they're like, oh, finally someone that can throw the ball. And then
Yeah, it's like they root so hard against the guy but refuse to acknowledge the fact that everybody who's played quarterback for us this year has been horrible. Maybe it's not the quarterbacks that are the ones that are so bad.
Yeah, maybe it's just the fans are quite stupid. But we've been having this discussion since Cam got
But
drafted by the.
but when he runs for a touchdown, they're cheering just as loud as anybody else.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
It's like,
maybe,
whose side are you on, dude? Do you support him or not?
exactly. If you're on the team, you're on the team. I'm supporting you. I don't care who you are.
Right.
It's like, he has never been the most accurate passer in some situations, but he makes up for a lot of that with his ability to run. I don't know. It just some people just they hate who they hate. And they're not gonna change their train of thought no matter what.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, it blows my mind. I've had a couple people, had some people, I think after the Miami game, they text me and they were like, "I told you Cam Newton sucks." I'm like, is this what you live for? Just to text me
Literally,
about
dude.
telling me just like you just waiting on your phone to roast me about Cam Newton, like he's played 2 games on a new team with new staff, new players. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And again, next quarterback comes in and is worse. So I don't know what you want.
I don't know, man. I don't
Can't
get
win.
it. Can't win. You can't win with the fans. You certainly can't win with this team. So, you're just not going to win at all.
Nope. There's no winning in Panthers country.
No, there is not. Not right now, at least. We got Buffalo in Buffalo this week. I don't expect us to win this game. The Bills are a competing team trying to vie for a playoff spot. Carolina or Buffalo, what are they usually called? Like Buffalo, Carolina North, Buffalo North,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
We have a lot of the same players that we have, a lot of the former staff that we had. It's almost the identical team to what we have, but they just have done it better. So I expect the Panthers to lose this game, and that's really all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be shocked if we don't get steamrolled. We're really bad and they're pretty good, so.
Yeah, I think the last time we played in Buffalo was that like the 2013 year, or have we played
Yeah,
there? I
2013.
remember we gave that EJ Manuel. Oh God, that
Shout
game.
out to Josh Norman.
Shout out to the great Josh Norman. I mean, we did make the playoffs that year, but still, God, that was a frustrating game to watch.
Dude, that was like so us too, especially after the way like 2011 and especially 2012 went, just blowing a game right at the end.
Blowing leads, man. That's what we were good at. So
Do you remember that game in 2012 where Matt Ryan, I think it was Julio Jones, he hit somebody on like a 60-yard bomb at the end of the game to set up the Falcons in field goal range?
was that on Nakamura?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I was at my friend's house watching that game, and that's when the Panthers were notorious for blowing stuff late, and then they give up a huge bomb. Julio Jones.
Yeah, we did that the whole season, like every week. It was so annoying. I was so
Yeah.
sick of it. I turned over and flipped my couch over that day.
Well, and then God, there were so many games. Um, then I remember that year, I think it was at 2012, they played the Chiefs, and then one of their players had just passed away or something, and the Chiefs had won like 3 games that year.
Oh yeah,
And they
dude,
beat us like a drum.
I think Brady Quinn was their quarterback that day.
Yeah, he was. He was. Jesus Christ.
That's so Panthers, man. Lose to Brady Quinn.
That is so Panthers. One of my favorite low-key games, this is totally random. One of my favorite low-key games in Panthers history is 2012 Monday night against the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton took those boys to the washer. And we went off that game. It didn't matter because the season was over and we weren't going to make the playoffs. But it just was like, damn, dude, we could be a good football team at some point. And Cam Newton balled out that game.
Yeah, he had one of his vintage goal line flipping, reaching over the goal line touchdowns that day.
Yeah, that was dope. That's when I was like, all right, I was already a fan, but I was like, this dude is legit.
Yeah.
So, but
Dude, the
yeah,
young Cam was so fun to watch because he was always making so many crazy plays with his legs.
even if the Panthers suck, like you could see Cam Newton doing some wild stuff on the field, and you could
Yeah.
be like, hey, I can get excited about that at least.
Yeah. Facts.
So.
All right.
But that's all I got for today. Primetime Carolina is out. Thank you guys for tuning in. I believe we have hit over 200 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much, everyone, for tuning in, listening to us rant and rumble about the Panthers being so terrible. But hey, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be us. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you next week. Carolina playing at Buffalo this weekend on Sunday. We'll see how it goes, but I'm not expecting much.
Facts. Me either. I'm
All
not
right.
expecting much but snow.
Go Hornets. They are getting ready to tip off against the Spurs at 8:30.
Yep.
So good luck to them. Hopefully we get a dub. Go Hornets, baby.
Yep. Buzz City, baby. We out.